Welcome to Whiskey Vault.
I'm Daniel.
Rex.
This is a gift from Magnificent Bastards Michael and Tonya Robbins.
Michael and Tonya Robbins, you magnificent bastards.
This is from...
Coldwater whiskey.
Yeah, this is from St. Louis.
Yeah.
And it is from south of St. Louis, St. Genevieve, Missouri.
A lot of saints.
Yeah. About halfway between Cape Girardeau and St. Louis. I actually played quite a few concerts in Cape Girardeau, which is very weird because it's this small little town on the river. It's not really even big on the map, but I did a house concert in Cape Girardeau, and the house concert host family were so cool that I ended up going out of my way to stop in Cape Girardeau every time I drove through.
What makes a host family good or bad? What made them cool?
Okay, so one, they're very accommodating and chill, and
they
you
got
can
your
eat, not
bowl
eat.
of red M&Ms.
Yeah, the red M&Ms there, but they're chill. They're not like high maintenance. They're not like, well, you're allowed to do this, but not this, and please don't wear your shoes in the carpet, and none of that uptight. But they're also not overly clingy. Like, let's hang out. Will you play for us a private concert? Well, what are you gonna do? What time are you getting up? 6? You want us to take you somewhere? It's So it's like the perfect balance of like hands off, but very accommodating and kind and gracious. And they had this basement that they let me stay in that was a whole bar. And like leather sofas, and then there was like a bed in the corner, and the bed was really comfortable.
You were hanging out in the man cave.
I was hanging out in the man cave the whole time.
Right.
But he had like 6 or 7 really amazing guitars down there and amps too. And so we'd come down there and we'd play music. He was a professor at the college in Cape Girardeau.
That's cool.
Really cool couple.
So I noticed this is Missouri whiskey. It's not necessarily just a category beyond just whiskey.
No, they said they made it.
Okay.
And they said it's theirs, and they're not calling it any one thing or another. And no matter where I looked on the website, could find 0 information. Evidently, they were tornado damaged. The brewery was, and so they're rebuilding some things. But they have a winery, brewery, and a distillery.
Okay.
And so the operations for everything have been moved to the winery.
Just trying to show off, apparently.
Yeah. So I don't actually know anything about this at all.
See, I can see a brewery rocking a distillery, or vice versa, distillery, because that can be justified in the making. But to also do a winery, I mean, that's a very different set of equipment, very different process.
In California, there's a lot of that jump.
You're going
winery distiller.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Making brandies and vodkas and liqueurs and things like that. Yeah. It's okay. It's a little grapey now that we just said this, but it's a little bit like fruity mixed with grain, like grape nuts.
Yeah, but that grapiness is almost the purple, the purple flavor.
Yeah.
Artificial grape.
The purple, the flavor of purple.
Yeah.
You mean the one on the dip stick?
Yeah.
You dip it into the purple pack and then lick the sugar stick.
A little bit of that purple. It is very sugary though, very sweet. You know what?
Interesting.
It's so nondescript for me.
Try to get something out of it.
Yeah. I mean, it's just whiskey. I'm trying to get notes.
No, now it just smells like grass.
I didn't get grass. I got...
And grain, like granola.
Honey granola, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just very simple.
Honey granola.
Huh.
It's not bad.
Interesting.
I like honey granola.
All right. Oh, weird. That did this weird tannin spike that spiked while simultaneously falling off a cliff. And I don't know how they did those two things at once, but it both went bam and shoop and sucked everything else out at the same time.
I got the way that fresh hay smells and the way that Play-Doh smells mixed together with a lot of sweetness mixed in there.
So I'm having
the honey granola sweetness.
I'm having a very weird experience right now because I'm feeling this one thing spike to the top of my palate.
Did it involve a scented note?
Yeah. No, it did not. I'm having that one kind of spicy barrel tanniny note go bing, and then what was the body just sort of fall away underneath it. And so I simultaneously feel like the finish drops off a cliff while this one lingering thing just holds on to the roof of my mouth like it won't go away. What's popped into my head.
Someone trying to put my finger on.
Yeah, well, because in my head I'm always doing tasting notes as like music EQ in my head.
Yeah.
and all I can picture is Massive Attack's Teardrops, which most people would know from, it was the opening music to House MD. That boom, 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 bum, bum. Well, it never got to the vocalist, but it just dong, 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 boom, boom. Well, in the real song, right when they cut for the end credits for MD, this vocalist comes in, their lead vocal, and she goes, ba, 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 and sings like, what? Just catastrophically high, while everything just sort of hovers down here. And that's what showed up in my head, is this, and then this low thing is going on, and then it's like someone turned the band off.
What is hummus made from?
Chickpeas.
Chickpeas, thank you. I get a chickpea note.
Huh.
On the taste.
Okay.
Yeah, and chickpeas are kind of a subtle flavor. I think that's kind of what I was driving at, with a little bit of the smell of the Play-Doh.
Yeah.
Almost chickpea-ish.
Interesting. As I eat hummus, I eat like 2 or 3 tubs of hummus a week these days. Because it's just such an easy, you can dip anything in hummus, and it's like, oh, that's nice. And I see what you mean, because there's an earthiness to hummus.
Yeah. It is interesting how often we'll get something that is just categorized as whiskey.
Yeah.
And
then you got to figure out why.
but the things that are telltale signs of specific categories, like there's a reason why those categories exist, because you very often find commonalities. You find like, oh, there's a lot of, if it's rye, you find a lot of herbal qualities. If it's bourbon, you find a lot of that, maybe some cherry and some honey and some brown sugar. Just whiskey, though. Usually whenever something's just whiskey, it's like, oh, it's very whiskey.
Very whiskey-like.
Yeah. It doesn't have
having
those telltale indicators of specific categories.
I'm having a weird morning. Because on one hand, I did just pour water down myself.
Yeah.
And so you would think like maybe I'm having a bad day, or like I gotta watch myself when I walk into traffic later.
Right.
But then I just made this impossible bounce off of 5 whiskey bottles shot, and it went in.
Did you make that?
And then I dropped my notes over here. Look.
Oh, weird.
they stuck in the barrel hoop.
Yeah, so
I don't even have to go down.
The barrel hoops, it went in between the barrel hoop and
stuck up waiting for me to grab them. I'm getting mixed signals from the universe this morning.
You should play the lottery.
Yeah, but
Twice. One time you lose, the next time you win.
Yeah, and then look very carefully before crossing the street.
We've got Kanji VT. I see you're going through the stuff you referenced but never reviewed. Could you do Naked Grouse, Naked Malt? It goes by that name now, at least, here in Europe.
Yes.
I remember a short advent calendar episode on it, but not a review episode. It's the standard for blended malt whiskey, so it'd be great to have that data point.
Man, I am getting more and more excited about the idea of, and that we're about 60 bottles away from running out of reviews.
Yeah.
And I am going to...
Donated reviews.
Donated, yeah.
And now we can get into stuff that is going to be things that you're likely to be able to find and experience yourself.
Now, at the same time, I have had multiple people, and this is not coming from me, our people are just this generous, ask like, well, I still want to donate a bottle because that was really cool.
Right.
And I know you don't want to review everything. Is there anything that I could replace in the vault? And we just...
Talking about the
benevolent
bastards, yeah.
And so what I think we'll do at the same time is we'll start doing our own calendar.
Yeah.
Simultaneously, we'll open up a list of benevolent bastard things.
I think we need to, because the benevolent bastard thing, after us closing off donation for so long, it's becoming a very important thing in the vault. I think we upgrade the benevolent bastard animation.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that you just added work to your plate.
Biv Strongo, bulbous bluefont. I should have known. I bet Daniel grew up listening to Dr. Demento.
Yeah, I did not. But I love that somebody picked up on that, and we used that Dr. Demento sketch thanks to Roy, who founded this whole place. That was one of his favorite sketches, and we use it in Magical Worlds to teach. How many times have you heard Dr. Demento's show?
I don't know. I'd have to look. Probably a lot.
Yeah, it's a radio show. Mine was, that I fell in love with after my dad listened to it quite a bit, was Firesign Theater. And it had a sketch comedy show, and we had it on a vinyl record, but it was also on the radio. And they did like Private Eye, I can't remember what the guy's name, Nick Danger, Private Eye. And it's just nonstop double entendre and like dad jokes and, yeah.
So not actual maple syrup, but the stuff they make from like, was it corn syrup or something? Not maple, but basically
No.
the base of it, that sweet.
Like
corn
you're heading
syrupy-
into the budget pancake syrup. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Huh.
That's the thing. Not a particularly long finish.
No.
Not a tremendous amount of thick, rich body and character.
No, but not
Kind
offensive.
Not offensive. But there's not any kind of specific things that you can grab onto and be like, oh yes, this is a category. This is just kind of a generic whiskey set of flavors that aren't bad, but they're not amazing either. Here's to fighting, stealing, and
If
drinking.
you fight me, fight for a friend.
You steal, may you steal your liver's heart.
And if you drink,
May you drink with us.